Welcome once again to your weekly update from the city of New Hope. Time to catch up with the mayor and what's new in New Hope. Mayor Hemken, how are you today?
Hi, I'm fine. The sun is shining and the snow is melting. I'm
Yes,
good.
again, right? So we'll talk more
I'm,
about how that's affected a few things in the city as we move along. Let's begin with an update with the West Metro Fire Rescue District. They have some recent activity from an audit standpoint and also a food drive standpoint. Let's begin with the audit. How did that go?
well, I don't get to talk about West Metro very often, so when I can, I do. So the audit went very well. And what they do is they come in and audit all the books to make sure you're recording things in the proper way and you're applying for grants and you're using them in the proper way. Well, they got a good audit, so that all went well. They're running very well indeed. Also, they had a food drive, and I think this is really exciting. I got to read this so I don't get it wrong. They
Mhm.
collected 1,291 pounds of food and $5,404.
Wow.
And they said that would serve 11,884 meals. So for all those people that stopped by and put a buck or dropped off a can of soup, thank you very much. The fire
Mhm.
department really appreciates that. They give all of that to the food group, and the food group really does appreciate it.
Fantastic effort by the department and again by all the public that helped out. Board of Appeal and Equalization, that meeting occurred just recently here. Again, tell us what that meeting is for and recap how it went.
Well, when homeowners get their statement, there's an estimated market value on that statement. And if they don't think that estimated market value is correct, they can appeal that. And they go through a process. They call City Hall, they talk to somebody at Hennepin County, and if they still don't agree with what's been happening, they can come to this appeals and equalization meeting. And that was last week. And what they do with that then is they present their case. And if the assessor is there, and she will then take that information and she then goes back out to the house and actually looks at the house to see whether or not that makes sense to have that evaluation on it. If there's no change, then we vote again on that, whether there's a change or not. Or if there is a change, we just are warned a little bit that if we lower the market value, that means everybody else picks up the tab for that. So they have to be very careful that they're being as fair as they can on these estimated market values. So we will meet again on the 24th at 6:30 to look at what the county has told us about those three properties.
Very good. Let's go to community development. Always a lot happening in this area. The first is Elevate Hennepin. We've been talking a little bit about that, a recent presentation at one of the networking groups, and now a presentation coming up to the council, I understand.
Elevate Hennepin is kind of like open to business. What
Right.
they do is they provide some legal support, some marketing, bookkeeping, help you do your plans. They want long-term success for these small to medium-sized businesses. It's free to the business. The city opts into the program. Of course, we pay something into the program to have that available. So we'll get a presentation tonight, and then we'll vote whether or not we want to opt into that for our residents. And chances are we probably do.
And that presentation, again, as we're recording, this is on Monday, the 17th. Housing values, you mentioned them just a minute ago, but you have some neat statistics here that might help residents understand what's happened to housing values. Share some of those numbers with us if you would.
So if I just said they all skyrocketed, that wouldn't do it? Probably not.
Right.
So the average increase in estimated market value was 37% in New Hope. Huge. But that's just about average on all of them, like all over the city. So that's not a real big change. It's a big change, but it's not out of the ordinary. So New
Mm-hmm.
Hope has 9,499 housing units, and 49% of those are single family homes. And of those single family homes, about 38% of them are in the 250 to 300 bracket, some higher, some lower. So if your house is in that just middle bracket and you got a big increase, you probably that's the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
our housing values are going up.
Next item was the Joint Airport Zoning Board. We've been talking about a date coming up for a discussion about the Crystal Airport. Again, remind us, Mayor, what that event is.
Well, if you remember right, we got snowed out the last time. Hopefully we won't get snowed out this time. So Crystal Airport is doing some rezoning around there. Now, even though New Hope isn't part of that Crystal Airport, we are kind of part of the airspace. And what it does is it restricts how tall of a building we can have, what kind of noise levels we can have. Just because it's an airport, we have to respect that. So on the 19th at 4:30 at Crystal Community Center, they'll have a meeting and there'll be some people there from the board that'll explain exactly what they're doing and how that affects anybody. Probably doesn't affect the homeowners much as the apartments and the business owners.
Okay, very good. Let's go to scattered site housing. We have two houses to update you on. The first is 3611 Louisiana. We have some pictures here as well of the fire department taking advantage of where that house is right now. Give us that update.
Well, at first they said we could go in there for 2 weeks, and then they said we couldn't, and then they said, yes, I guess you can. So the pictures you're looking at is our firefighters going in and training in that house. Now that they're done doing that, they're going to deconstruct that house rather than just demolish it. So they'll take out all the windows and the doors and anything that's usable, saleable. And then after all that's done, then the demolition crew comes in. So that process obviously takes a little longer than just demolition. So neighbors, please be patient with that. We're getting there, but it just takes a while.
The other update is at 5802 Boone. This is the property we've been talking about, and now I understand the city owns that property.
Yay, yay, we own it, we own it. Oh, it's been so long. Those poor neighbors, they've been looking at that boarded up house. So we own that. There is no possibility of deconstructing that. So now that we own it, the next thing that'll happen, they'll go in this week and remove any contaminated materials that are in there, hazardous materials. And then the forester is going to look at the property and see what trees have to come down so the demolition team can get in. And once that happens, that demolition team will go in. So while that is all happening, we're out looking for a demolition contract from somebody. So this one should come down pretty quickly. And then once it comes down, we'll sell the lot and you'll see a new house go up there. So thank you, neighbors, for being so patient on that one.
Business Networking Group, Community Development, works with this area on a regular basis to keep businesses connected. They have a meeting that is upcoming, but looking for a topic for that meeting.
We do. So we joined with our best buddies in Crystal. So now it's the New Hope Crystal Business Networking Group. It's May 3rd at 2:00. We're looking for somebody to be the host. What that means is you can have the Business Networking Group tour your business. And then you get 10, 15 minutes to talk about your business. And then we go on with the rest of the part of the Business Networking Group. So if you're interested, give Jeff Alger at City Hall a call and he'll give you all the details on that. We're also looking for somebody for the June 7th at 8:30 in the morning.
Okay, very good. Leaf Line Labs, some improvements going on at a business in the city. Give us again an update of where that is and what is going on there.
So it's right next to Dunkin' Donut and Marco's Pizza, that building that Marco's Pizza is in. They've done a lot of renovation inside. There's some double doors. Now, Leaf Line Labs is a cannabis dispensary. And what they've done is you have to have a prescription from your doctor to get past the first. You can go in the first door, but you can't get past the second door into the area where the cannabis is unless you have that prescription. So they're planning to open on the 20th of April. If you have any questions on that, you can call City Hall or you can call Leaf Line Labs and they'll give you some information.
Next set of updates from the New Hope Police Department. First update is some representatives from New Hope went to a big conference recently. Who went and what did they learn?
Well, the police chief's conference was up in Duluth this last week. And I really encouraged my chief, and a captain went up with him. It's just all the chiefs in the state get together and they've all got the same problems and they all help each other. And they really learn a lot by being at that conference. So they were up there all week. Then one of my other captains was here because he was part of an interview team interviewing sergeants in Robbinsdale and that process. And that's another thing that the police officers do, or the captains do, is they trade places and they help each other do that. My Officer Callio, he's my community service officer. He did a presentation on fraud, scams, sex trafficking awareness to the Robbinsdale Transitional Center. And of course, we delivered Meals on Wheels like we do every month.
Police department, very busy in lots of ways. Let's move to another department that's very busy right now, Public Works, as the season changed. And one of the things that they're finding are some potholes. Mayors, give us the update on potholes, what we do if we see them.
These are my wonderful handymen.
Yes.
They do all kinds of stuff. So there's potholes all over the place. The city's only responsible for our streets, not the county roads. So like Rockford Road, that's a county road. That's not a city road, so we would not be fixing those potholes. So if you have a pothole in front of your house or one that you drive by and it's driving you crazy, you need to call Public Works and tell them there's a pothole and where it is, so that they have a record of that. They'll put it on the little chart, so when they bring the truck out to fix it, they'll know that it's there and they'll pay attention to it, make sure it gets fixed. But they can't all get fixed on the same day.
Right.
So you really must be patient. We'll get there. It takes a long time to get them. And of course, right now, everybody wants that hot tar. And we can only get so much of it. So we're working as hard as we can.
Makes
so
sense.
while that's happening, they were fixing the banners on 42nd. Sometimes the little arms get bent and they get kind of windblown. So fixed those. After that last snowstorm, they had some tree removals that they had to do on the boulevard. So they did that. They were picking up the mess from the ash trees that had been cut down. And when they didn't have anything else to do, they fixed the fence at Lions Park. So bless their hearts.
Yes, very busy crew there. Well, if you drove around 169 and 42nd this weekend, you saw that it was closed on a long stretch of 169 closed. But Mayor, you have a good update to pass along that it looked like everything got taken care of, but that's only the beginning of the project, right?
Only the beginning. So the bridge on 42nd over 169 is gone. Not only is it down, all the debris is gone. And they had to actually close 169 from 55 to I-94 because those trucks need a space to work and they can't be trying to go around. And if a piece falls off that truck, they got a problem. So they closed that long street over the weekend, opened it at 5 o'clock in the morning on Monday. So that's gone. But keep in mind, none of the entrance or exit ramps off of 42nd are open. So you cannot get onto 169 from 42nd. You have to go down to 36th or up to 49th. Do keep in mind that when you're on those side streets, those are residential streets. And we've got a few extra cops out there just making sure that you're not speeding, you're not just buzzing through the stop signs. I do know there's a lot of stop signs on 42nd. So if you're coming across that, not 42nd, I'm sorry, 49th. You're coming across on 49th, it's pretty slow. The same thing with 36th. You might want to actually follow the detour. It's the fastest way. Or, surprise, surprise, leave 10 minutes early.
There you go. All right. Some good plans there.
You can get there.
Let's also update residents on Meadow Lake. We've been talking about some of the treatment that is coming there, and that process sounds like it's moving ahead.
It is. Meadow Lake is the one over by the golf course. And if you remember, we did a drawdown to take the water out of there to get rid of the minnows, basically, because there was a gazillion of them. So now the water came back up last year, and it was pretty green. So now they're doing an alum treatment. That the Meadow Lake watershed, district, I guess it would be, they know about this, and it's something they approve of. So we're going to do this alum treatment. You might see a boat on the lake. I don't know how they're going to get the boat in there, but they spray the water and then they'll do regular checkups on the water to see if it's helping. That's going to supposedly help get that curly leaf pond scummy thing off the lake. So let's hope it works.
Let's hope so. All right, let's move to Park and Rec and talk a little bit about many of the activities going on. And ironically, the first one has to do with minnows and also turtles, something new for preschoolers.
I thought this was just precious. So they have a nature exploration class and they look at minnows and turtles. Now, could you think of something better for 4-year-olds than minnows and turtles? Yeah, it does. So I thought that was pretty cool. So the adult pickleball and the youth tennis lessons have started already.
And you mentioned the forester a little bit earlier and some of the ash trees, and they are still working with that process and heading out, marking those trees. So just an ongoing process, it seems like, for Park and Rec.
It is. Remember that what they're putting the orange dots on are, it's not the tree in your backyard and not the tree in your front yard if it's close to the house. These are the boulevard trees, the ones that are 15 feet back. If you're in a little doubt whether or not that is a boulevard tree, you can call the forester and he can come out and look at that and decide whether you need a big orange dot. Now, the people that had the trees taken down last year,
Right.
they just got a letter, or they will be getting a letter in the mail about the replacement tree. If you don't have that letter by the end of this week, I suggest you call the forester again, call City Hall, ask for the forester, and tell them you had a tree taken down and the date or the time frame, and you didn't get a letter, and they'll make sure that you get one.
Okay. Park cleanup is happening right now. Tell us a little bit about this annual effort and who helps with that.
Okay, so we hire STS, Sentenced to Serve, and we pay them. And the reason we don't pay the workers, by the way. That's volunteer. They're being sentenced for something. They're doing community service. Why we pay them is because they have to have a supervisor and they have to have a van to get them to the spot. So it behooves us to hire them, and they go and they pick up the trash in the parks and do that initial spring cleaning of our parks. But if you see them there, that's what they're doing.
Okay. You mentioned pickleball just a second ago, and I understand some work being done on the lights at the pickleball court by Meadow Lake. Tell us about that.
Well, that was a golf or a tennis courts.
Right.
And so we changed that now into pickleball courts. And of course, the lighting changed a little bit. So they're working on the lighting at that. So you should be able to play pickleball at, I don't want to say midnight. They probably don't want you playing at midnight, but after dark a little bit when those lights would come on.
Okay. Well, the warm weather helped out in a couple ways here. And one is it helped Liberty Park get some equipment maybe a little early than advertised. What is happening there?
Well, Liberty Park was so excited. Got warm and they went out and they started to do the work and it got cold.
Yeah.
So I do not know. I have not been over there to look, but I do not know whether they continued on. But of course, they didn't do anything over the weekend, and now it's starting to warm up. So I'm guessing that that's going to continue on from there. A letter was sent out to the neighbors, and there's something posted at the park if you want to see the schedule for the park and the replacement stuff.
You also wanted to pass along a little update about Little Acre Park, and there's something in that park that people might be surprised to see there. What is it?
Well, we got a $5,000 grant from Hennepin County, and some of that is going to park signage. And we're also buying fruit trees that we're putting in Little Acre Park. There's something called an urban orchard. And if you're interested, you can go to the urban orchard and pick some fruit when fruit comes in. So I don't know what kind of fruit trees they're putting in there, but they want that to be a little orchard rather than just a little acre.
Who knew? All right. An event coming up this week. In fact, as we're recording this, the Great Shingle Creek Watershed Cleanup Week. Why should people go out and help in that effort?
Well, Shingle Creek, as opposed to Bassett Creek, shingle, like the top of a house, is at the top of New Hope. And so if you happen to live along Shingle Creek, this is the week. It's Shingle Creek Cleanup Week. Go out and pick up that stuff that came down the creek during the winter and the early spring, and just help keep that out of the water, and just pick it up a little bit if you can.
Great idea. Let's head to the golf course. And you were able, as one of many people, to sneak in a round of golf when it got really warm. How did that go?
Well, I was like a kid with my nose pressed against the window, watching the snow melt. And here comes Friday, and the snow's melted. So I got my foursome together, and we played Friday. It was beautiful. And then came Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
So they were booked solid from 6:30 in the morning till 6:30 at night. It was just beautiful to see all that. And then it got cold and windy and snowy, and there were a few people that played on Saturday, not so many Sunday.
Right.
A couple later in the day. But I'm guessing today's Monday. There's nobody on the course because there's still some snow there. But my league plays on Tuesday. So I'm hoping, let you know.
We hope that happens for you. And you wanted to pass along one other note about the golf course, just something for people's calendar, and that's the annual plant sale. When and what is that?
Well, this plant sale started out with just me planting a few coleus. Well, it's grown a lot. So I think last year, I want to say we took in about $1,500. This is going to be on May 13th, the day before Mother's Day. And right now I have 100 coleus in my apartment. They're just beautiful. And 73 canna lilies in my apartment. And they're not quite as beautiful, but they're pretty big. So the price is really good. They're 2 for $5. There might be a little bit more for the calla lilies because they're getting kind of big, but not a lot more. And it's only that one day from 8 a.m. till 1 p.m. So
Right.
all the money that we make on this plant sale just goes directly to the golf course. And I tell them, I don't care what you do with it as long as you're buying trees and flowers.
Sounds good.
So
All right.
that's
Well,
and that's what they do, and it just beautifies the golf course. So
well,
if you have some time and feel like it, 8 to 1 on the 13th of May.
all right. We'll keep reminding people of that date as we get a little bit closer over to the ice arena we go. Again, we've got a busy rink with skaters and a busy rink with construction. Which do you want to start on?
Well, the skaters. So
Okay.
the leagues, a couple of the leagues are playing. They're doing a lot of practicing. There's 8 men's group that read the north sheet because that's the only one that's open. And so it's really busy on that north sheet. Now on the south sheet, that's the one they took out.
Yeah.
And so everything came out of there. They regraded the sand and they put it all back in. And I think you have some really cool pictures of that.
Yes.
So they put all this stuff back in, and I had no idea there was so much stuff. And then they get that all in and they cover it with sand. And now this week they're going to test the pressure on the pipes to make sure nothing's leaking and there's no problems with that. And then on Thursday, the cement trucks come and they'll start pouring cement over the top of that. That is, if you've never seen that, that's just exciting to see. Something just fell off my counter.
Oh, easy there. All right. So that is quite the process at the ice arena. Let's hop over. Well, before we leave the ice arena, just mention they are already looking ahead, believe it or not, to fall and winter, I understand.
They're scheduling fall and winter ice time. Now when they told me that, I said, I don't want to talk to you. So that's all I know, that they are scheduling that. They have to schedule that so much in advance because they really want to fill up the ice arena as much as they can. That's just profit for us. And so as much as they can do to get that filled up, but I don't want to hear about it.
No, we'll leave that topic quickly. Let's move over to the aquatic park. Here's something that's a little warmer. What is happening there as they prepare for the season?
Well, the little team is out and they're checking for damage that might have happened in the park just from the winter, and they'll repair any of that. So little by little, they'll just start getting that ready. What they do is they actually go into the pool area in the pool and make sure everything's just fine. If there's any water that's in there from the snow, they'll make sure that gets out and they look at any damage that's in there. And once they're sure everything's fine, then they'll start putting the water in. So they're still planning to open the first part of June, but there's a lot of work to be done between now and then.
All right, go to the city's website, newhopemn.gov, to find out more about the schedule for the pool and also maybe some of those pool passes, which you can get here early. Final couple notes we wanted to pass along an update about the city manager's search. Where are we now and what are the next few steps?
Okay, so now the council voted on their top 5, but it turned out to be top 6 because a bunch of them had the same number of votes. So now we have 6 applicants. I cannot share the names with the public yet, but we will when we get a little further down the road. So we've got these 6, and what we're doing now is we're reading their bios and we're checking out whatever we can check on these candidates, and then we'll interview them on the 2nd of May. And so what'll happen is I've asked that staff also interview them. They don't vote on the candidates, but what they can do is give us some good input. So staff will interview them, give us some input on the candidates, and then we'll interview all 6 of them, 50 minutes apiece. So it's a long day to interview these folks that are doing that. When that's over, then we will vote on one, or if we don't like any of them, we won't vote on any of them.
Okay.
But hopefully we'll have one when we're done, and then that person will start the first part of June.
Final note to pass along as we close up today is a big thank you to residents for helping out with a pancake breakfast that just occurred. I understand the group that put it on did some nice job raising funds.
They did. This is a New Hope Lions, and everything all the profit they make on this goes right back to the community.
Yeah.
And they sponsor Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and all kinds of other things. So they had this pancake breakfast last Saturday, which was a huge success. And they wanted me to tell people, thank you so much for coming in. So they came in, they ate our pancakes, they voted, or they put their names down on some silent auctions. They bought some tickets for some other stuff, and it was just a big success for everybody. Pancakes were wonderful.
Fantastic. Hats off to the Lions for the great work. Well, we've mentioned a lot today, and we want to send you again to the city's website, newhopemn.gov, if you have questions or need more information about what we talked about, newhopemn.gov. And stick with us. We've got a list of some events coming up in the city you just might want to put on your calendar. Mayor Hemken, good luck on the golfing this week, and we will touch base with you again next week.
I'll see you then. Thanks, Dave.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Learn more about The Connection at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.